I'm going to ask Amy to address. In the past year, we've seen both the removal of term limits for President Xi and the signals of increased military confidence in the South and East China Seas. In addition, we see the global power balance shifting, and with the waning of American influence and the waxing of Chinese, where does Canada fit in? What are the implications for Canada of a more assertive China? And we'll start with Amy.
Love the question. I especially like the fact that we're bringing up the power shift term, and that's really the crux of the problem. We're very stressed about the trade wars and what's going to happen, and the world's coming to the end. But really, the trade wars are only a symptom of this bigger problem, which is the power shift. And in terms of how does Canada fit in, we need to figure out, well, what is our play in this power shift? If we just step back a little bit in terms of history and where we're coming from and the position of luxury that we've been in, right? The G7, we were listening to the G7 talks just earlier. The G7 dictated or determined how the world economic order was going to operate. And we got very comfortable in that. And because this group built that momentum, they knew the rules of the game. But we did such a good job at building the world economy that there's a G20 now. There's new players at the table. And these new players, of course, bring to the table a new set of rules or a new game book, if you will. So in terms of what do we need to do, we need to actually adjust and shift and say, it's not just our rule book anymore. How do these other players like China, right, that are part of the G20, et cetera, how do they do business? And these are emerging entrants. Right? They have a different philosophy. They have different needs. They have different comfort levels. So that's. I just wanted to level set on that bit. So the power shift. So because of the power shift, there's a new world order. President Xi is not going away anywhere anytime soon, and he's publicly declared that he loves the way he operates, and he's going to actually coach other emerging countries on the China model, how to grow and succeed and thrive in this new global economy. So we need to get smarter. We need to understand what these new dynamics are, what this new philosophy is, and adapt and change. Easier said than done. So what are some of the elements? I think the other part of your question was the implications for Canada of a more assertive China. We've got it really good. And we're really comfortable. We need to start getting uncomfortable. We need to shake ourselves up a bit, and we need to take a look at what's happening in the USA. It's not because they're bad people, necessarily. It's because they've been at it longer than we have. So we do have the opportunity to learn from this experience and figure out how do we want to show up. So some ways. Our innovation advantage is also going to be, already is, on the table. We've been known to be innovative. We've had the technological advancements that, we've set the stage in a lot of areas, but they are ramping up very quickly. So how are we going to learn how to become better instead of just being complacent at being the best in certain things? How are we going to learn about new innovation models? The other is foreign direct investment.
Yep. Big
implications, and I think we're going to talk about that more later. But what is our policy? What are the parameters? How are we going to let them in? I'm afraid to say ACON, right? I don't want to bring it up, but it's a big deal. Well, it's a big deal because we're not prepared for it, really. ACON had been looking for investment capital for over a year. Canada couldn't give it any. China said, hey, we'll help you out. Now we're all panicky. I'm not saying we shouldn't be, but what are the parameters? Are we going to be more comfortable just saying, okay, all foreign direct investments, 49%, capping at 49%, you can't buy us out. And then the other element, and I know I need to speed it up. The other element is just getting our business people prepared, because we live in a really great country. The economy's been pretty good. We're very comfortable. We need to get prepped. We need to understand how the Chinese do business. That parlays into other emerging nations as well in terms of psychology and philosophy of doing things. And then we need to help them out, right? Help propel the economy a little bit more.
So I think that's good, because what I'm really taking away is the reassessing the rule book piece of it, which I think falls very nicely into the broader G7 context, and also preparing industry and business.